Okay, after installation of SQL Server, what we will do, our responsibility will be to do the verification, or we have to configure certain thing for SQL servers. So we will see one by one what exactly we need to do to make sure everything is covered and users can connect to our SQL Server. You can see here version. Okay, so the version for SQL Server, so you need to make sure this is up-to-date version for all the SQL instances, and for that you can run select edit version, and then you can execute it, and it will tell you the current version for SQL Server. Okay, details about that. So the expected version is like for SQL Server, the Service Pack 2 is available. So once you install, you will see this version is lower version, and then if you apply Service Pack 2, it will come to let's say 52077, and maybe after few months you may see like a Service Pack 3, so the version will be changed if more version comes. So that includes verifying the service packs or SQL Server version. So next thing we have database compatibility level. So we have database model database, and it's under system database. So the purpose of the model database is like whenever you have a new database that you will be creating for users, so the structure that it has, it will be inherited by all the new databases. Now the compatibility level for that has to be the latest one. If you have migrated from older version, here you can see compatibility level 2014 120 SQL Server, okay, 90 2005, and then 800. So if you are migrating SQL Server from lower version to newer version, you need to make sure all the database, user database especially, gets changed to 2014. And that is for model database whenever you create something, a new database. But if for existing database, you need to go here and you need to go to option and to make sure you change this property to 2014. So this database is right now in 2012. So to move that to 2014, you need to just select that and change the compatibility version to 2014. Installation path. So during our installation, we have seen that there are some installation path options on the installation screen, which is lecture number 2, where we have performed SQL installation. You need to make sure your SQL instance is installed on E drive, not on C drive. E drive, and E drive means this is a physical drive, just like your local computer. If you add additional drive, it will become D, and then add one more, then it will become E. So the more you add, the later will be added that way. So you need to make sure whenever you install SQL Server, you install it on E drive, and that is there. The details you will find on my installation lecture on YouTube. Next we have database default path. So on the property, a couple of things we have to check. So first of all, the memory configuration. So once you're done with the installation, you need to verify what is your total memory of this computer or of this server. So let's say you have total 8 GB memory. So for SQL Server, you need to allocate 80% of that, and then if you see the calculation, 8 GB doesn't imply here 8 GB. It's in MB, so you need to convert that to MB. So suppose you have 8 GB, how you can convert that? You multiply that with 1024, so it will become MB. Okay, now you need to make sure 80% of it is allocated for SQL Server. So multiplied by 0.8. If you have a server and that has 8 GB or 8000 MB memory, you need to allocate 80% of that. So suppose you have 4 instances, you have to divide that by 4. Okay, so, and if you have just one, you will allocate this much. So if I have 4 SQL instance installed there, so what I will do, I will divide it by 4. So 1638. So I will allocate there 1638. Okay, now I have 2 instances and I have 8 GB. So how much I will allocate? So so I will allocate there 8 GB, which is this, and divided by 4, 2. So 3276, 32776. So right click on that and then allocate 3276. Now one thing to remember, if you by mistake put 1 GB or 2 GB, then you will not be able to start the SQL server. So be careful to put the figure properly. If you make a mistake on that, putting the max memory number, and this is where you have to specify max memory. So maximum memory it can have is this much. Minimum memory, you can put it there 1 GB, which is 1024. So that is standard. You can put it, keep it 0 as well. So here is the configuration for memory. Okay, and then for processor, you don't need to do anything. You should not be making any change there normally. Okay, so but how many nodes you have, how many cores you have? So it's only one node where you have 4 cores. Okay, so it's like that. You will be able to see on your server. So you may see like 64 cores, like CPU 1, 2, 3, like that. So maybe 16 you will see for one node, NUMA node. It's called NUMA node. So each unit has 4 here. So you may see each unit has 16, and then you may have 4 NUMA nodes. So here, just to understand, like we are discussing that for configuration, but you don't need any action, but you need to check like how many cores you have. So I have 4 cores. So this value will be needed for further configuration. For security, it's Windows authentication and then Windows SQL Server authentication. We will set it always there because we may have mixed mode. So we will do that. Here no other configuration is needed. Connection, here you may need to set it up to 0. Okay, so remote query timeout 0, and then default database setting. So if anybody creates that database, it will go to C drive. Now it's my laptop, so it has only C drive, but you need to make sure it's on SAN drive. All the database backup location, data location, log location are on SAN drive, and it has sufficient space so that you can verify all this. Okay, and then and it doesn't go out of space. Here important value is their max degree of parallelism. My laptop has only 4 cores, but generally you will see like 16 cores or 32 cores. So if you see more than 8 cores, you need to put the value 8. So that is the max recommended configuration from Microsoft, to put there 8. There is a calculation there, but the safest way is to put there, if you have cores, just we saw how many cores we have. If you have less than 8 cores, which is very weak server, you can put it there just 1 or 0 value. 1 would be fine, or even you can leave it just 8. If you have more than 8, then you need to put it there 8. Okay, no other configuration is needed here. That's all from the properties configuration. We will go to and see the next slide what we have. So so far we have covered database compatibility level, remote login, installation path, default recovery model. So you will try to keep the recovery model simple mode. So where we can see the simple mode, so you go to model database, this configuration, you need to make sure you maintain that option. database should be on simple mode. If you don't put it the simple mode, what will be happen, you will take transaction log, and log will increase, and you will have out of space for log space. That I have discussed that on database backup and restore. So just take a look at it, but you need to make sure if you are not doing transaction log, your database has to be on simple recovery mode. If you keep model database simple recovery, all the new database will be changed, but for existing database it will not be changed. So you have to go to existing database and need to make sure these are all simple recovery mode. You can see here already simple recovery, you don't need to be worried. If you see full or bulk, change that to simple mode unless you are taking the transaction log backup. Static port network protocol. So we have to go there to configuration manager. So here we can see configuration status. So TCP SQL Server Configuration Manager 2014. So for each instance we can see like here all the services that are running. So you can start your services and stop your services from here, and you should be doing that from here basically when you have a server. Okay, and then network configuration, all the protocol configuration will be here. Now here if you click on that, you can see like how many protocols are there. You have shared memory, named pipe, okay, TCP, via. So you will enable this TCP IP. Okay, make sure named pipe also you need to enable that. Shared memory also you need to enable that. Via you can disable it, that's fine. And then for protocol you need to make sure for TCP IP you need to set it up TCP, which is the dynamic one. You can see here 0. Don't touch the dynamic port, just the lower one is static port. You put there any port number, and port number is to connect to SQL Server. Like we don't have here protocol, port number. So if we would have port number here, let's say port number is 100. So how we would connect? You have full SQL instance name, and on the top of it you have to put comma. 100 is the protocol, or 1000 is the port number, or 1001 is the port number, 1002 is the whatever port number you will set there on this spot. On this spot TCP you have to use there with a comma sign, with a comma and this, and that should be fine. You will be able to connect that. So port number is important to set it up for security reason. So this is the configuration that you need to do. Okay, let's see the next one. So static port number is covered. Network protocol you need to enable TCP, named pipe, whatever I just discussed, and then via you can disable it. Shared memory you need to enable that. Light speed installation, I have already showed light speed installation, discussed about that. So you need to make sure you install light speed, and you need to back it up. I already shared the light speed script in my database backup and restore lecture, but if you are using a compression tool, external tool, then you need to make sure light speed is installed, or any other tool that you will be using in your company will be there and installed. Memory configuration, we already discussed about that, so you need to make sure these are all enabled. XP shell command, we will see how we can do that. So this is the script to enable the XP command shell. This is a very important feature to run any command. The term is called a XP CMD shell. With that you can run command shell program, command shell script. So for that you need to execute this statement. So if you select that and execute, it will be enabled. You can see here configuration 1 to 1. If you in your system it's not configured, it will be 0 and it will become 0 to 1. Okay. Also, like to enable the agent, you need to execute this. So you can select the entire script and execute this. Okay, I will put that on the PowerPoint. Next thing we have trace on. So once you are done with the installation, one part of task will be configure the deadlock trace flag. So this flag, what it means, this is the command to enable that. And you have SQL Server error logs. So if any deadlock occurs, which we discussed on our troubleshooting issues, this will be tracked here. Okay, any deadlock occurs on error log event, we will be able to see any deadlock. If any deadlock event occurs, the details we will find it here on SQL Server error logs. So for that, you need to make sure you enable this. And how to check the status? If you click on that, okay, global level, it will remain enabled. Okay. Also, you need to enable that on startup parameter. So startup parameter, to see startup parameter, you have to go to service. So this will be like that. SQL Server properties, you will see the screen, and startup parameter on the properties, you have to go here advanced. Okay, on your server, and you should be able to set it up. This flags that you have seen here, minus, you just put their minus DBCC trace on. We'll see how we can set it up. As you can see here, T minus T1 1222, like that. If you add that on startup parameter, so this will be added. So you need to do that additionally, because whenever a SQL Server starts, okay, this will be wiped out. This statement will be wiped out. So for that, you need to make sure you put it there all the time. Minus T and then 11222, 32 and then 1. So this value you need to put it in there, so that every time SQL Server starts, this remains there. So this is the place where you can set up the page file virtual memory. Okay, I discussed earlier how to go to virtual memory. So you can find it on my previous lectures. Virtual memory, how to on Windows, how to go to virtual memory, and then you can just select any drive where you want to put the virtual memory. The page file should be like 3 times more than your memory. And we discussed about all the concepts, but here I'm showing just the configuration to make sure you configured that. So C drive, you should not be doing that, maybe D drive or E drive, and this has to be local physical drive, not a SAN drive at all. So you need to make sure you have sufficient space compared to your memory. Like let's say you have 8 GB memory, so you need to have a drive where you can at least 24 GB you can allocate page file. Okay, any drive, G drive, E drive. It's just an example. Okay, next thing we have link server configuration. Here you can see we have a link server. So this is my server. Link server means like I'm connected with all the other servers that we have on the domain. Okay, so if I want to connect another server and want to query another server from my laptop, so I have to add that server as link server. So this server, this is in SQL instance test. So I want to connect that to this one. So how I have to do it, I will show it again, just a second. So right click on that, new link server, and then you put there the server name. So my default server name is desktop dash 3B AUUNB. Okay, and you need to select this one, and then security. This means like you are connecting using your authentication that you have on that server. So that will be the configuration there. This 2 will be true, and then we can create that. So link server is created. So basically this is nothing but we have connected to this server. Okay, we are connected to this server. So whatever database is there, Okay, we should be able to run that from here. Okay. To query other link server this from table name, but you have, before that you have to put the server name and the database name. So to run the link server query, this is the way you should run that: server name, then database name, and then link server. Okay. So this is our link server configuration. So once you are done with a SQL Server installation, you need to make sure backup jobs are done, created, and then link servers are created. Also SAN, you need to check the SAN configuration, and for that you have to go to computer management. So computer management, and you can see all the disks that you have SAN drive and their space available. So all the disk information you can get it here. Okay, which one is SAN and how much space it has. So all this information, capacity, free space, all the information you will get it here. So you need to verify this piece. TempDB configuration. TempDB is a system table where whenever you run a query, and if you are using temporary tables, so it will be created on temporary TempDB database. It's a system database where it is. We can see that right now. So this is the TempDB database where we will run any temporary database. Now we need to check like where it's located. We need to make sure it's in a different SAN. Okay, so if it's not there, you need to move that to SAN volume, and you can do that later on as well. So it's just alter statement, move that files. Okay, and then you need to restart SQL service to move that to another drive. So you need to make sure TempDB is located and it has sufficient space for that. Okay, the database property here, it's better to set it up to MB auto growth, and then maybe you can put it there 1000. Okay, so that is a standard configuration for database properties. So here is the way of moving the TempDB database to another location. So you have two files, data files and log files. If you have more data files, log files, you have to add the statement more, like that. Okay. So you execute that, it will move to any specific drive, D drive or E drive, and then you need to restart, and automatically it will be moved. And then the older files manually you have to delete it. Okay. For example, you have TempDB on C drive. So you run this statement and it will move to D drive, but C drive files will be there. So you need to go manually and delete that from your old location. But you need to make sure you understand the concept. Here another key configuration is enabling lock page memory. What it means is like a memory has, server has memory, and you want SQL Server to get dedicated memory that we configured like 80%. So you want that to be dedicated. For that you need to go here, computer configuration, and you will get it under local computer policy. You need to search that, how you can reach there on operating system. You just need to do some research, or it's pretty simple, or on Windows Server you can even search this term and then you can get it here. And then under that, local policy and user rights assignment, you have to click there first. So the entire tree is there, and then you double click on lock page memory, and you have to add the service account that SQL Server runs. You need to add that account here. Okay, username and password. So that service account will get the memory locked for itself, so that anything else, like any other application, doesn't get the memory from there.